Hi everyone, a very good evening and welcome to today's live session. This is Gayatri here. So as you all know, today is a content session on quantitative ability, and the topic that we are going to be discussing today is data interpretation. Data interpretation is a very important topic when it comes to the subject quantitative ability, and definitely you can expect questions from this topic in the examinations. I'm not going to take the full topic data interpretation for today. I'm going to do half of it today and the remaining half in the next class, because when it comes to data interpretation, you have bar graph, pie charts, line graph, then a table chart, then missing value data interpretation questions. So what I'm going to be doing today is, I'm going to deal questions on bar graph, pie chart and line graph. The remaining, right, that table representation of table type questions from data interpretation and missing data interpretation questions, all that we'll handle in the next session, so that we have enough time to focus on each type. Okay, now what is data interpretation? Like what kind of questions come from this section? Basically, in questions on data interpretation, you are given large amounts of data in some form of the other. Like for example, sometimes data is represented in terms of a table, right? In terms of rows and columns in the table, data is given. Sometimes data is represented in the form of a bar graph, or in the form of a pie chart, or in the form of a line graph. So what we should do is, we should look at the data that is given to us, analyze it and try to solve the questions based on the given data. Okay, so that's how you go about solving questions from this topic. Data can be represented in multiple ways, right? Which are the how can you represent data? Data can either be represented using bar graphs or tables, line graphs, pie charts and mixed graph. So mixed graphs is wherein you have one or two of these types, right? One data is given in terms of bar graph and another data in form of a table. So such questions are the ones involving mixed graph. Now, how do you represent data in terms of a bar graph? See, in bar graph, the information is given like in terms of bars, right? Each bar will represent some particular value or quantity. Okay, there will be an x-axis and a y-axis, and here in bar graphs, each bar, right, this is a bar, each block or a bar will represent some value. And generally bar graphs can either be vertical bar graphs like this or horizontal bar graphs like this, right? Either vertical, the bars will be vertical, or they'll be horizontal, or even in some cases they are stacked. Stacked means one is kept on top of the other. So these are the general ways in which bar graphs are represented. Now bar graphs are also called as histograms. Next one, what is tables? See, in tables are generally the most easiest way in which you can represent data. Table means you will have rows and columns, and data is represented in this row and column. Okay, so like for example, if you are saying that there is number of students who have passed, right, in the year 2009, which subject? Physics. So how many students have passed in physics in 2009? How many students have passed in physics in 2010, and so on. So you have rows which represent one value, columns which represent. Okay, so that is how you represent data using tables. So I can say in 2009 in physics 2 students have passed, in 2010 in physics 1 student have passed, and so on, whatever be the information, right? So this is how you represent it using tables. The third type is, as I said, is called as line graph. Line graph is also referred to as Cartesian graph or the XY plot. It is sometimes referred to as the XY plot. So in line graph, what we do is, information is shown in terms of this, you have x-axis, y-axis, the information is given in terms of points, and these points are connected by a line. So that is called as line graph. Next one is, what is a pie chart? Pie chart is generally a circular graph where everything is represented inside the circle. Like each variable, right, it is divided as different sectors in the circle. For example, if I am saying that which are the cars bought in India in the year 2010. So this many people, right, this sector represents the number of people who are buying Hyundai, or this sector represents the number of people who are buying Honda. This sector represents the number of people who are buying Maruti, and so on. So basically when it comes to pie chart, everything is represented in terms of a circle. So one thing you have to remember in pie chart is this full, right, this full degrees of a circle is 360 degree, correct, or 100% of this pie chart is represented as, or the angle is 360 degree. See, sometimes in questions what they say is, if you are drawing the pie chart for let's take an example and see, if I am saying that I am considering the number of people, number of people who are buying different cars in India in the year 2010. So this is the pie chart I have represented in terms of a pie chart, and I know that 30 degree, right, this Honda, right, the people who buy Honda represents 30 degree of this pie chart. So I want to know what percentage of people buy Honda out of this whole set. How do I find that out? See, I know that 100% is represented by 360 degree. So 30% is represented by how many, 30 degree is represented by how many percentage? 100 into 30 by 360, or that is equal to 100 by 12, or 8.33%. Correct? Or I can say that 8.33% of the people, right, they buy Honda. So in general I can say that. Similarly, if I am saying that here, if I say 90 degree, right, 90 degree of the people, they are buying, let's say, which car? BMW, okay. 90 degree of the people buy BMW means how many, what percentage of people buy BMW? I can say that 90 into 100 by 360, or 25% of the people buy BMW. So if it is given in terms of degrees, you can convert it into percentage as follows. So if I have x degrees, that in terms of percentage is nothing but 100 into x by 360. So this much percentage it will constitute. So just keep this in mind. Many times when it comes to pie chart, this calculation will become useful. Now the last type is called as mixed graphs. So in mixed graph, a combination of any of the above graphs is given. Yeah, some information would be given in terms of a bar graph and some information in terms of a pie chart. You have to compare these two and find the answers. Okay, so we will look at these in detail when we solve the questions, but I hope you have a basic idea now. Now coming to solving questions from data interpretation, see the main there are mainly three topics that will come in that will be very useful to solve questions from this data interpretation. That is the topic of averages, ratios and percentages. So these topics you should know very well to be able to solve questions from this, because lot of the concepts of these topics will be made use in the questions. So now let us see, let us just briefly discuss which are the concepts that you need to know to solve questions from this topic of data interpretation. Now the first concept that you need to know is what is average. What is average? Average is equal to sum of all values divided by total number of values. Okay, like see, sometimes what they say is they give you they have given you a bar graph where they are showing the number of students who have passed in so many years, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. Okay, in the 6 years this graph shows how many students have passed now each year. Now what they are asking is what is the average number of students passed in all the 6 years. So in that case you have to calculate the average. So there this formula becomes useful. Yeah, so the basic formula of average will be very useful when it comes to solving questions on data interpretation. Next, similarly you should know what is a ratio, right? If you have a ratio A is to B, what does this A is to B mean? Basically you are comparing two like terms in there and writing them down in their simplest form. Sometimes they will ask, similarly if you are taking this question, so I am saying I have year 2010, 2011, 2012 and so on. They might ask you what is the ratio of number of students who have passed from 2011 to 2012. So take this value, divide them. Alright. So again here what are you using? You are using the concept of ratios. So this is also very, very important. The next important concept that you need to know is the concept of percentages. Now in percentages, remember these few formulas, they will come in very handy. See, I can say x, if I am asking you what x is, what percentage of y, what percentage of y is x, you can say x by y into 100. Yes, or the next thing that you will need to know is x is what percentage more than or less than y. Okay, so how do you find that? X minus y by y into 100. So these are a few formulas from percentages that you can keep in mind, which will be very useful. Then the most important formula that you will need to know is the formula of percentage change. So what is the formula of percentage change? Formula of percentage change is equal to final value minus initial value divided by initial value into 100. Now see, I hope you all know these formulas, right? Or please refer back to the topic of percentages. These are the general formulas that you will be using when it comes to data interpretation. Now where do you use this concept of percentage change? And this is something that you very commonly use when it comes to data interpretation. See, I can say that the number of students in 2010 was so much, the number of students in 2011 was so much. Find the percentage change in the number of students. Okay, so in that case, you consider what was the number of students in 2011, what was the number of students in 2010, find the difference, divide it by the number of students in 2010 and get the answer, right? So in questions of that sort, this concept of percentage change comes in very handy. If you know these basic concepts, right, if you know the basics of percentage, averages and ratios, then solving questions from data interpretation becomes very easy. And one very important thing that you need to be able to crack questions in data interpretation is your calculation speed. You should be very good with your calculations. Basic addition, subtraction, right? You should be really fast at all that, because questions on data interpretation generally involve a lot of numbers and you have to perform addition, subtraction, multiplication, etc. on these numbers. So calculation is very important to be able to solve these questions on time when it comes to the examination. So I hope it is clear till now. These were just the basics that I have discussed. Now I think we'll start solving the questions directly. So the first type that we are going to take up is the bar graph. Okay, so the first question for today's session is there on your screen. So this is actually a stacked bar graph, right? What is a stacked bar graph? See, you have something stacked on top of another. Correct? Different. See here, what are they saying? Questions are to be answered on basis of the information available in the following bar diagram, which represents the number of students who qualified in CAT, SAT, CET exams. Okay? None. Yes? So this is the graph. Now see, what this is a stacked bar graph, because see, these many students have attended CAT, these many students have attended SAT, these many students have attended CET, and these many students have attended none. So one information is stacked on top of the other, or one data is stacked on top of the other. So that's why it's called as a stacked bar graph. Now let us look at the questions that follow that. The first question from this bar graph is there on your screen. Read the question and try to find the answer and give me the answer, and then I'll go about solving it for you. The question is this: what was the percentage of students who cleared CAT in 2000? What's the answer that you're getting for this one? What is given here? What was the percentage of the students who cleared CAT in 2000? So if you look at the year 2000, this is 2000, right? How many students have cleared CAT? 20 students have cleared CAT. Totally, how many students have appeared for the examination? See, these many students are there, correct? Totally so many students are there, out of which 20 have cleared CAT. So here this value represents how much? 170. It is between 160 and 180, so you can take it as 170. So what percentage of the students have cleared? 20 out of 170 have cleared the CAT. So this is the percentage that I am looking at, or that is equal to 200 divided by 17. Or this is equal to 11.76 percentage, that is option D. Let's look at the next question. What was the percentage of students who succeeded in at least one of the 3 exams in 2000? Fairly easy one, no? You should not be taking so long to answer such questions. See, what was the percentage of students who succeeded in at least one of the 3 examination? At least one of the 3 examination means totally how many students have succeeded in at least one of the 3 examination? 140 students, correct? So totally out of this 170 students, at least students who have succeeded in one examination is 140. So what is the percentage that you're looking at? 140 divided by 170 into 100. So when you solve it, you will get the answer as 82.35. So here, see, in this particular question, you cannot really approximate it because there are options which are too close, right? So it is better to get the more or less the exact value. At least you should get till 82.3, then you know for sure this is the answer. Okay, so the correct answer here is going to be option C, 82.35. Now, next question. Which year showed the best result in MBA entrance exams for the institute in terms of the percentage of students who have cleared? So here what should you do? See, they are asking us which year is showing the best result for MBA entrance examination. So all these are MBA entrance examinations, right? CAT, SAT, CET. So which year is showing best result in terms of percent of students who have cleared? So how do you solve this? See, if you look at the year 2000, totally out of 170 students, how many students have cleared? 140 have cleared. 140 by 170, right? That is the percentage that we are looking at in the first case. Now this is the year 2000. If you look at the year 2001, how many students have cleared? 150, right? This is approximately 150 students out of 180. 150 out of 180 have cleared. Now in 2002, what is the ratio? 160 students out of 200 have cleared. So 160 by 200 into 100. You have to find out which is having the maximum percentage here. Now this one is very easy to do, right? Directly you can say it is 80%. Very easy calculation. Here you have to find out what is 14 by 17. Here you have to find out what is 15 by 18. See, the values are very close. So again you will have to get the exact answer to be able to compare these two, right? 14 divided by 17 and 15 divided by 18. So what is the answer that you get? Try it out and tell me. 2001 will be the highest, the year which has the best result in MBA. If you see 2000, again 14 by 17, I think we already calculated this, right? For a previous question also we did, it is 82.35 that we have already calculated. So you need to recalculate that. Just find out what is 15 by 18 into 100. Actually when you do it, you get it as 83.33%. So this is the year which has the highest percentage of pass or the best performance. So the answer that we are looking at is option B, 2001. Next one. What is the percentage increase in the number of students in 2002 over 2000? So here you have to find out percentage increase in the year 2002 with respect to 2001. See, if you see in this particular question itself, all the 5 sub questions we have used any one of the concept that we discussed in the beginning, right? One where we used what is X percentage of Y. Then we have here, now we are using percentage increase formula. So the basic formulas that we discussed in the beginning, right? Average and ratios and percentages, they will be useful throughout for all the questions on data interpretation. What's the answer for this? See, number of students in 2002 is 200. Number of students in 2000 is 170 here. So final value minus initial value divided by initial value into 100, and that is the percentage that we are looking at. So here what do you get? You get 30 divided by 170 into 100, or this is equal to 17.64%. That is option B. See, another thing we have to note here is that none of these option is there. Many times if none of these option is not there, you can eliminate the other options and get the answer very easily. See, for example, even in this question, if none of these option was there, definitely you know this is not going to be the answer. 85% cannot also be the answer. So you have to do 30 divided by 170. So again, 30% also cannot be the answer, right? Just by looking at the options itself, you can eliminate options and say this is going to be my right answer. You needn't exactly actually sit and solve for 3. Here what you get 300 by 17, correct? So exact value actually you needn't solve for if you are able to eliminate options. But in this question, you have an option called none of these. So it is better to check correctly what the answer is. So the next question is there on your screen. What is given here? Cumulative trade deficit or surplus of countries for the year 2006-2007. All the figures are in crores. So this is another way in which bar graphs are represented. Now, if you look in this graph, see there is a 0 line here, right? Origin or 0 line here. Here on top, it is representing countries which have trade surplus, right? That is extra. In trade, whatever they have extras represented here. Now for all these countries, they are deficient, or this is called trade deficit, correct? They are lacking supplies. So these are the values for these countries, right? This minus represent that it's a deficit. Similarly, this minus represent it's a deficit in Bangladesh. Here it is surplus, that is more of the item is there. Here less is there. So much, it is less by so much. So that is the graph, that is what it is representing. So now questions in this question from this graph, let us look at the first question. See, along with this graph, they have given some information for us. They are saying that the total value of the first 3 deficit countries is so much, the total value of the next 5 deficit countries is so much, the total of the last 5 deficit countries is so much, the total of the 4 surplus countries is so much. Now, this is given to us extra. See, this actually information, whatever is given, will come in very handy when you are doing the calculations. So, whenever you have questions on data interpretation, read the directions. See, this sentence, these sentences generally will be given along with the directions. Don't miss out on reading this, because sometimes the values that are given here will really help you with your calculation. Now, let us look at the first question. The state whose surplus is nearly equal to the average of the 4 surplus countries is dash. I think it should be country here, the country whose surplus, they have mentioned, they have given state here, but what they are trying to say, they are asking us the country, because everything they have given country, right? They have given different countries only. The country whose surplus is nearly equal to the average of the 4 surplus countries is dash. So, try this out and tell me how to solve it, then I will go about solving it for you. See, in this question, as I said, what are they asking you in the question? They are asking you the country whose surplus is nearly equal to the average of the 4 surplus countries dash. So, which are the countries which have trade surplus? You have Sri Lanka, UAE, USA and UK. Okay. Now, if you find the average of the trade surplus of these 4 countries, the value that you get, okay, it is close to which country's surplus value? That is what they are asking. Okay. So, here what should I actually do? I should actually be adding the surplus of all these 4 countries, that is 305.7 plus 427.7 plus 462 plus 665. This will give me the total surplus, okay, of these 4 countries. Now, what is the average? The average is what? This value, this total surplus divided by 4, because I have 4 countries here. So, basically I have to add these numbers first, get the answer and divide it by 4. So, but see here, as I said, always look at the directions that is given here. See what they have given here, they have already given you the total value. You needn't sit and add. They have added and given you the answer here directly. So, all you have to find out is 1860.4 divided by 4. That will be your answer. See, they have already given the total of the 4 surplus countries is so much. So, you needn't add them separately. You can directly take the value from here, divided by 4. So, when you solve this, what do you get? You will get 465. Yeah, 460 some value, 465. That's what you get, 465.1. That's the value that you get. Now, it is closest to which country, surplus of which country? It is closest to USA. USA is 462, this is 465. The country whose surplus is nearly equal to the average of the 4 surplus countries is dash. So, your answer is not B, it is C, that is USA. So, option C is the correct answer. Yeah. Next one. See, this graph, when you see, it looks like it might be complex, but it's actually very, very easy. Only thing here in this particular set is that in some questions you have to do a bit of calculations. There is some additions and subtractions, but otherwise the question is a very simple question. So, just by the look of the question, don't skip questions, assuming that it will be difficult. Now, look at this question. The ratio of deficit of the first 5 deficit countries to the overall deficit of all the deficit countries is nearly equal to dash. So, here what you should do? You should find the ratio of deficit of the first 5 deficit countries. So, first 5 means they are starting from here, correct? First 5, yeah. That is first is starting from here and moving. So, first 5 deficit countries. The ratio of deficit of the first 5 deficit countries to the overall deficit. Overall is so much. So, add these values and find the ratio. Give me the answer for this one. Try this out and tell me the answer. See, again for this question, when you are finding out, see what you should do. You have to first find the sum of the deficit, right, of the first 5 deficit countries. So, basically you have to do minus 1238 plus minus 1225 plus minus 1131 plus minus 776 plus minus 514. But here see, they have already given you the total of the first 3 countries is 3594. So, this total is already given as 3594. So, to this 3594 you just have to add these 2 values, right. So, you have 3594 which is already given. You can omit the points, right, that is not going to make any big difference. So, to this 3594 you have to add 776 and 514. So that will give you the deficit of the first 5 deficit countries. Now total deficit, if you have to find out, again just add these values, right? See totally how they are. See totally there are how many deficit countries? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 countries are there. Now out of this 13 countries, they have given, okay, this country has no deficit, is it? Yeah, they have given the total of the first 3, next 5 and next 5. So yeah, they have given the already this full set, right? 3 5 5, they have split and given the total. So the total deficit you have to find out means you just have to add these again. 3594.3, again you put it as 3594 plus 2588 plus 334. You add this, you will get the total deficit. So if you add these figures, you will get the deficit of the first 5 countries. Find the ratio. A bit of calculation is definitely involved, but it is not very difficult, right? If you are able to do your calculations faster, nothing like that. Either use a digit sum method or use a split and merge method, right? Like split and merge method means you will do 3000 plus 700 plus 500. So 3700 plus 500 is 4200. Again 4200 plus 500 is 4700, and then plus 94 plus 90 plus 70 plus 10. All this you can do it in your mind. Either do it that way, split it and take it and add it. Otherwise do a digit sum method. Any one method you can follow. So when you actually solve this part, right, you will get the answer approximately as 4885, and the total deficit you will get it as 6517. So when you divide these two, right, what is it that you get? So the ratio that you have to find out is 4884 divided by 6516. Now this is approximately equal to 0.75. So the answer that we are looking for is option B, 0.75. Yes, all of you are getting the answer as option B, correct. Next one. The average of the total deficit of the middle 5 deficit countries is closest to the deficit of which country? So middle 5 means which are the middle 5 that you have to find out first. See, totally there are 13 deficit countries, correct? Out of these 13 deficit countries, if they are asking you for the middle 5, that will include which countries? Middle 5 means you have to omit the 4 here and the 4 in that end. So then in the middle you will have 5, correct? So that 5 will include India, New Zealand, Africa, South Africa, Korea and Namibia. So what should you do here? You have to find out the deficit of these 5 countries, find their average and check its deficit is closest to which of the countries. Now if you look at the options, okay, what are the options that is given here? You have Korea, South Africa and UAE. So if you see Korea's deficit is minus 366, South Africa is minus 425 and UAE is where? Okay, UAE is positive, right, plus 427. So definitely you can eliminate the option UAE, correct? The average of the total deficit of the 5 middle deficit countries is closest to the deficit of which country? UAE does not have a deficit, it has a surplus. So immediately you can eliminate this option. This option is not going to be your answer. Now if you compare these two options, they are also pretty far spaced. So you can approximate and take the values. So if India's deficit is minus 514.1, you can take it as 510, right? Similarly here, you can, this also you can take it as 510. Next one is 425. The other one you can take it as 370, right? And then 130, right? You can approximate it and take. So still you will get more or less the same answer only. So here if you approximate it like this, adding it becomes very easy. 370 plus 130 will give you 500. Now this becomes 500. Then here you have 1020. 510 plus 510 is 1020 plus 425 will give you 1445. So again you have 1445 plus 500, that is 1945 divided by 5. That will give you the average of these 5 countries. Now the answer that you get, 1945 divided by 5, what is it that you get? Right? Approximately you get 389. Now it is close to which country? Deficit of which country? Close to Korea. Because the only country which is close to this 389 is Korea, which has a deficit of 366. So the answer that we are looking at is here is Korea. South Africa, if you see, it is minus 425, so 389 means it has to be Korea. So here you can approximate and take, because the options are spaced like that. Correct answer here is A, Korea. Next one. The net total deficit or surplus is equal to dash. So here if you have to find the net total deficit or surplus, what should you do? You should add up all these surplus and deficit and get the net value, right? For the deficit, when you after you add all of them, put a negative symbol in front so that we know that it's deficit. For these surplus, you put a positive value and then get the answer. Again, you can make use of the information that is given here to arrive at the answer faster. So try out this one and give me the answer. See, these are questions which are purely based on calculations. You just do your additions and multi divisions and all faster, you get the answer easily. Now again, to solve this question, you can make use of some values which we have already found out in the previous question, right? See, what should you do? You have to first add up all the deficits. If you remember, in one of the previous questions we did that. Here, see, we added up all the deficits and we got it as equal to 6516. So that value, that is all the deficits, when you add together, you get it as 6516. We already know this, we have already got it. So deficit means minus. Negative symbol I have put in front. Now next, they have already given you the addition of the surplus. They are saying that the total of the 4 surplus countries is 1860.4. So the total surplus is 1860.4. Now when you are adding these two, what do you get? See, this is negative, this is positive. So when you add these two, you will get actually a negative answer, correct? You will get minus 4656.6 as your answer when you do that, and this negative implies that it's a deficit. So definitely the answer is going to be option B, 4656.6 deficit. Yes, be careful with these two options. Here it is surplus, here it is deficit. So deficit is more, negative answer is what we are getting, so it means that it's a deficit. Mark the answer as option B. Let's look at the next one. The ratio between the difference between the highest and the lowest of the surplus countries to the difference between Bangladesh and Oman is dash. So you have to find the ratio here. Try this and tell me the answer. What are they asking? The ratio between the difference between the highest and lowest surplus country. So highest surplus country is UK, 665. Lowest surplus country is Sri Lanka, 305. This divided by, what are they asking? Difference between Bangladesh and Oman. So difference between Bangladesh and Oman is where? Bangladesh is 1225, Oman is 1131. So 1225 minus 1131. So this is the ratio that they are asking you. So 665 minus 305, it is 360, and here 1225 minus 1131 is approximately, it's nice, 94. Correct, it is 94. 360 by 94. See, you know 360 divided by 90 is how much? 0.4. So 360 divided by 94 will be little less than 0.4. So it, not sorry, 0.4, it is 4. Correct. So 360 by 94 will be little less than 4. So the correct answer will be 3.83. Option D. Let's look at the next question. So next we move on to a question on line graph. Line graph is also known as XY plot or also called as Cartesian graph. So let us look at the question that has come from this particular graph. So what is shown in this graph? Consider the following graph and answer the questions based on it. The graph shows the trend of consumption of metals and plastics in the production of cars between years 2000 and 2005. So consumption of metals versus plastic in the given years for car manufacturing in 1000 tons. Okay, so here this is yellow, orange represents metal and green represents plastic. Now based on this, they have asked this question. The first question is the number of years for which the consumption of metal was less than the consumption of plastic over the given time period was dash. The first question is a very easy question. You just have to visually look at the graph and give the answer. So look at the graph and tell me what's the answer for the first question. The consumption of metal has to be less than the consumption of plastic. So in this year, okay, that is year 2000, consumption of metal is definitely less than consumption of plastic. This 2001 also, consumption of metal is less than plastic, because here metal is 10, plastic is 20. Similarly, this year, no, it is not, because here consumption of metal is more than plastic. This year, come to this year, consumption of metal is less than plastic. Here also consumption of metal is less than plastic. So totally there are 4 years where the consumption of metal is less than plastic over the given period. So the answer that we are looking for is option D, that is 4. See, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now these 2 years will not come because if you look at this year, right, 2002, here it is 25. Here plastic is only 20, so metal is consumed more. Similarly here in the year 2003, metal is 30 and plastic is 25, so metal is consumed more there again. So there are other 4 years only metal is less consumed compared to plastic. Answer is option D, 4. Yes. Next question. The total consumption of plastic for car manufacturing divided by the total consumption of metal for car manufacturing over the given period will give a closest ratio to dash. See, all these questions are purely calculative questions. You just have to do the calculations. If actually I give you all a calculator, you will all give me the answer just like that. It's that easy. Right? It's just about additions. Now, if you are able to do your calculations faster, nothing like that. All these questions will become very easy. What's the answer for this one? See, you have to find out the total consumption of plastic for the given years and the total consumption of metal and find out their ratio. So just by looking at the graph itself, you can just add these values, even do a mental calculation. So when you look at yellow one is metal, right? So yellow one, if you see in the first year, that is 2000, it is 20, then it is becoming 10, then it is becoming 25, then becoming 30, then becoming 20 and then 10. So how do you add it? 20 plus 10, that is 30, 30 plus 25, that is 55, 55 plus 30, that is 85, 85 plus 20, that is 105, and 105 plus 10, that is 115. So when you add the metal, the total consumption of metal over the given years, you get the answer as 115. See, you needn't even write it down in pen and paper. You can just look at the graph as I did and do a mental calculation and get the answer. Now if you look at plastics, in 2000 you have 25, 2001 you have 20, 2002 20, 2003 25, 2004 25 and 2006 30. So when you add it, what do you get? You get 25 plus 20, that is 45, again 45 plus 20, that is 65, 65 plus 25, that is 90, and then 90 plus 25, that is 115, and then you have 115 plus 30, that is 145. So the ratio they are looking at is this, or this, in both of these 5 will go, and you can simplify this and write this as 23 divided by 29, because you know 30 into 5 is 150, correct? So this has to be 29 into 5. Similarly, you know 20 into 5 is 100, so this is 23. This 23 into 5 is 115. So 23 divided by 29, that is the ratio that you are looking at. Now how are they asking you? They are asking you the ratio. See, this is metal is to plastic, correct? What are they asking? They are asking you the ratio of plastic is to metal, or that is 29 divided by 23. So I can say this is approximately close to 5 by 4. That is option B. Here if you see, there is no option saying none of these, correct? So you will have to take up the closest possible answer here. See, I know, see 29, if I can approximate it as 30 and this as 24, right? I am just adding 1 to each of these, numerator and denominator. Then this is nothing but 5 by 4, correct? 6 will go in both. So this is the closest value that I can get. So I can take that as the answer. Okay? So option B will be your answer. That is the closest option that is available. Now why can't you take it as C? See, another way of trying it out, if you have a doubt why can't it be C, then actually do what is 29 divided by 23 and do what is 5 divided by 4 and 6 divided by 5 and see which is the closest value and see which is closer. Is B closer or C closer? Yeah, you have to take the closest one. Yes, that's correct. See, 5 by 4 is 1.25, correct? Now 29 by 23, if you actually solve it, you will get it as 1.26. Okay, now if you are doing 6 divided by 5, what is 6 divided by 5? It is nothing but 120 by 100 or 1.2, 1.26 or 1.2. Definitely see, I know this is 5 by 4, right? I know it is 1.25. Now this 29 by 23 I am getting it as 1.26, and this 6 by 5 that you are saying is nothing but 1.2. Which is closer? Definitely 1.26 is closer. So that's why I take the answer as 5 by 4. Next. Which item and for which year shows the highest percentage change in consumption over the previous year? So we have to find out which item shows highest percentage change in consumption over the previous year. So if you see here, yeah, which has shown the highest change, that is increase. Okay, very clearly just by looking at the graph itself, you can say that it is metal of 2002. See, metal of 2002, in 2001, what was the value? It was 10. In 2002, it has become 25, that is more than double. Correct? If it is 20, then it has doubled. It is more than doubled. And if you look at any other year, okay, here from 25 it is becoming only 30. So that is not doubled, that is less than that. Similarly, the other increase that you see is here is for the plastic, right? Here plastic has increased from again 25 to 30. That's also not doubled and all. Similarly, here 20 to 25, that's also not doubled. So the only place where the value has increased more than double for more to a value more than double its previous value is this year 2001 to 2002. So the answer that we are looking at here is option C, that is metal 2002. Here, as I said, don't find out the values. As I said, just look at the graph and compare and give the answer. See, this is the only place where, see, 10 is becoming 25. So double of 10 is 20. So it is becoming more than double of what it was in the previous year. Such a kind of increase nowhere else you can't find. So the correct answer is option C, metal 2002. Next one. For the two data series shown, how many years have shown a decrease in consumption for both the items individually? See, for the two data series that is given, how many years has shown a decrease in consumption for both the items individually? So what are they saying? When you consider both the items compared to the previous year, there should be a decrease. So how many years has that happened? Now if you see from 2000 to 2001, consumption of metal has decreased, consumption of plastic has also decreased. This is satisfying the condition that they are asking for, right? There is a decrease in consumption for both the items individually. Now if you look at the year 2002, plastic remains the same, only metal has increased. So that is not satisfying the condition. Now here again both are increasing. Here one is decreasing, one is constant. That is also not true. Here one is increasing, one is decreasing. So there is only 1 year, that is in 2000 to 2001, right? Only for this period both the consumption of metal and plastic have decreased individually. So the answer here that we are looking at is option A, 1. Okay, that is only in this year 2001 both are showing a decrease from the previous year. Everywhere else either one is increasing, one is constant, or one is decreasing, the other is increasing. There is no other year where both are decreasing individually. Answer is option A. Next one. What is asked in this question? The ratio of the highest total consumption in any single year to the lowest total consumption of the two items taken together in any year was equal to dash. So a lot of you are giving me the answer as 11:6. Okay, so which year had the highest total consumption? See, total consumption means you will have to see how much of metal and that is, you will have to add the amount of metal consumed and the amount of plastic consumed. So if you see this year, it is 25 plus 20, that is 45. Here it is nothing but 10 plus 20, that is 30. Here it is 20 plus 25, again 45. Here it is 25 plus 30, that is 55. Here 25 plus 20, again 45. 10 plus 30, that is 40. So here, which year has the maximum consumption? This year, right? When you add these two, you get 55. So this was the highest value that we got. Now which year had the lowest? See, the lowest was, this was 45, this was 45, this was also 45, and this is 40, correct? 30 plus 10. But what was this? This was 30. So this was the year which had the lowest consumption. So what they are asking you for this ratio. So 55 divided by 30, or that is equal to 11/6. 6. Option C. So basically you just add the metal plus plastic consumed in each year, find which year has the highest consumption of the total, that is both put together, find the year which has the lowest consumption and find their ratio. So here it is 11:6, that is option C. Next one. Which year showed the highest percentage increase in the total consumption of the two metals? So again the values that we found out in the previous case, right, that's going to be really helpful here. See this, when we added we got as 45, here it is 30, here it is again 45, 55. See, if you look at the option itself, which year shall show the highest highest percentage increase in total consumption of the two metals. So basically compared to previous year, there has to be a really high increase in percentage. See, it cannot be 2001, it cannot be because in 2001 there is a decrease from the previous year, right? 2000 it was 45, it has become 30, so there is a decrease, so that's not our answer. It can be 2002 and it can be 2003. Again it cannot be 2004 because again there is a decrease, from 55 it has become 45. Now if you compare these 2 years, right, here if you see from 30 it is becoming 45, right, see 32 it is becoming 45, or basically it is increasing by 50%. How am I saying it is increasing by 50%? Half of 30 is 15 and 30 plus 15 is 45. So there is an increase of 50% here. Now if you look at these 2 years, right, what is the percentage increase? That is from 45 it has become 55, or I can say it is nothing but the percentage increase is 10 divided by 45 into 100, which is not close to 50%, right? So definitely the year which has the highest percentage increase in total consumption is option B, 2002. So B should be the correct answer, that is 2002. I hope the explanation is clear, right? You just have to compare between 2002 and 2003. When you look at 2002, right, from 2001 the increase in consumption is 50%, correct? When you look from 2002 to 2003, the increase is not as much as 50%. It is definitely lesser than that. So directly you can take the answer as option B, that is 2002. Next one. So next we are moving to pie charts. Use the pie diagrams given to answer the following questions. So they have given us 2 pie charts, and based on this you have to answer the questions that follow. So let us first look at the question that they have given. So this is the first question. So the first graph here, right, this one represents the number of units sold in 2005 in New York, and this represents, the second graph represents the distribution of New York market share by volume of different computer companies in 2005. So this represents number of units sold, this represents value of the units sold in 2005 and the share of each company. Yes, I think one second before we solve this question, or before you start solving this question, let me just make something clear here. Let me just give you one extra information before you start solving this question. This particular first one, right, this represents the, take it this way and solve, right? This information they have not mentioned in the graph because otherwise it will not be clear which graph represents what. So here the first graph, that it represents the value of the units sold in 2005, okay. The second graph represents the number of units sold in 2005. Now do it, okay. It is not mentioned here. If it is not mentioned, see, we might end up taking, since logically if you see the way the question has been given, we might think that this represents number of units sold and this represents value. No, that's not the case. This represents value of units sold in 2005 and this graph represents the number of units sold in 2005. Take it like this and now solve the question. In the examination also, read that information very clearly. See, if there are more than one graphs given, see what each graph represents and then solve the question. See, if both the graphs are different, like it's a mixed graph, one is a bar graph and one is a pie chart, generally you will not have any confusion, but when both are pie charts like this, it's very important to understand what each graph represents. See, totally how many units have been sold here? Value of units sold in 2005 in New York is 165 followed by 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 zeros. This is the total, okay, total value of units sold. Now, totally how many units have been sold here? Number of units totally sold, that is 15 0. Now, in the year 2005, what is the total value of the units sold by IBM? See, IBM constitute 28% of the total value, correct? So, for how much value has IBM sold its PCs for? It has sold it for 165 followed by 4 zeros into 28 by 100, correct? So, for this much value IBM has sold. How many units has IBM sold? This is the value for which IBM has sold. This is the value, right? So much money IBM has made. So by selling how many units has it made so much money? See, if totally 1500 units were sold, out of that 10% of the units belong to IBM. So the units that IBM has sold is nothing but 1500 into 10 by 100, or this is equal to 150. Now what is the question? The average unit sale price. So totally this is the value and so many units have been sold. So what is the average price of one unit that IBM has sold? It is nothing but 165 followed by 4 zeros into 28 divided by 100 into 150. Solve for this, and that is the answer that you are looking at. So 110 into 28 is nothing but 3080. So the answer that we are looking for is option D. Next question. Try this one. For the years 2005, which company has realized the lowest average unit sales price for a PC? See, this particular question that is there on your screen, you need just to have attention to detail. If you have good attention to detail, I should have got the answer for this question by now. See, what is average unit sale? Average unit sale is nothing but you will have to find out the value of units sold by that company divided by the number of units it has sold, correct? So actually, how will you go about solving this question? You will have to find out the average unit sales price for each company and then say which is the lowest, which has the lowest average unit sales price. But there is one information that is given here in the question which will help you arrive at the answer just by looking at the graph. See, there is one set here called as others. What does this others include? It also includes some other companies whose name they have not given. Correct. Now what are they asking you in the question? They are asking you for the year 2005, which company has got the lowest average unit sales price for a PC? So what should you do? See, this others group, right, that can also include a company which actually has a lower average unit sales than the other companies that is there, that is whose names are given here. So you cannot say which is the company that has got the lowest average unit sales price for a PC. So you have to go with the answer as option D. It cannot be determined. So the correct answer here will be option D. See, there are companies in the others category also here. We are not aware of the breakup of their sales value or the volume of these companies. So we should say that it should be cannot be determined. That is option D. So you have this sector others, which can include other companies as well, which has a lower average unit sales price, right? Nothing about those companies who belong to this 30% is given. Unless they give you that, you cannot say which is the company which has the lowest average unit. If they say that based on the given company names here, who has the lowest, then you can find out. Yeah. So the correct answer will be option D. Now next question. Over the period 2005-2006, if the sales value wise of IBM PC increased by 50% and of Apple by 15%, assuming that PC sales of all other computer companies remain the same, by what percentage approximately would the PC sales in New York increase over the same period? So what is given here? In the period 2005-2006, the value wise sales of IBM has increased by 50% and Apple by 15%. And all the other companies is remaining the same. So what percentage would the PC sales in New York increase over the same period? How do you solve this question? Did you understand what they are trying to ask in the question? Do you want me to explain the question? See, what they are saying is, if you look at the value wise means which is the graph that you should look at. Let us see. This is the value and this is the number of units, right? So this graph represents the value and this graph represents the number of units. Now what they are saying is, value wise, if you look at IBM, there has been a 50% increase in the value-wise sales of IBM. Similarly, if you look at Apple, there has been a 15% increase, okay, when it comes to value-wise sales of Apple. Now, all other values here are the same. None of them are changing. So, they are asking by what percentage will the total value of PC sales increase over the given period. See, the best way to solve this question is to consider a base value of 100 and then try it out. You first try it out and give me the answer, then I'll explain it how to solve. See, assume that to solve this question, assume 100 is the total sales. Okay, if 100 is the total sales, out of this 100, what was the share of IBM? The share of IBM was 28%. Now the share of IBM has increased by 50%, correct? So if 100 was the total sales, then if total sales I take it as 100, then I can say sales of IBM is 28. Now what are they saying? The sales of IBM has increased by 50%. So how much has the sales of IBM become? See, it has become 28 plus, what is 50% of 28? 50% of 28 is 14. So now the sales has become 42. Correct? Similarly, if you look at Apple, okay, if 100 is the total sales, I can say Apple sale is 14. Now, they are saying that the sale of Apple is increasing by 15%. So, how much is the sale of Apple now going to be? The sale of Apple is increasing by 15%, or it is nothing but 14 plus 14 into 15 by 100. Correct? That is 15% of 14, or how much is this? 2.1, correct? Yeah, 14 into 15 is 210, 210 by 100 is 2.1. So now its sale is becoming 14 plus 2.1, or it is becoming 16.1. Now net, if you see, earlier the total sales was 100. Now how much has it increased by? See, there is a 14 increase here for IBM and there is a 2.1 increase here for Apple. So this 100 has now become 100 plus 14 plus 2.1, or that is equal to 116.1. So earlier if the sales was 100, now it has become 116.1. So what is the percentage increase in sales now? 16.1% increase in sales now. So that is the answer that we are looking at. In this particular question, instead of considering that the total sales or total value is 165000, right? You didn't consider that, just take the total sales to be 100 and then find out the answer. The answer will still be the same if you use this value as the total value sales or this, because they are just asking you for a percentage, right? Percentage will remain the same. So here if it is 100, then IBM is 28. IBM's value sales is increasing by 50%, means now IBM is selling 42, right? That is its value of sales, and so there is an increase of 14. Similarly, if Apple was 14 and there is an increase of 15%, now Apple is selling, value sales has become 16.1, or there is an increase of 2.1. So totally if you see, from 100 it has increased to 116.1, or what is the percentage increase? It is 16.1%. So the correct answer here will be option A, that is 16.1%. I hope it is clear. Okay, I took 100 because it is easier to calculate. See, if I take a value like 16500, then I have to find 28% of that, which is going to be time consuming. At the end of the day, I just need a percentage, right? With 100 also I can do the same thing and get the same percentage will apply for this big number also. So I think with that we are coming to an end of the questions that has been chosen for today's session. Okay. With this, we are coming to an end of this particular session, but the topic data interpretation is not yet over. So in this session, we have discussed bar graphs, then pie charts and line graphs. So we still have to complete questions on tables, then questions on missing data interpretation, and also questions on mixed graph. So these three topics are remaining from the topic of data interpretation, which we will be covering in the next content session, because the topic data interpretation itself is very lengthy. We will not be able to do it in one session, so that's why I've split it into 2 sessions. And I hope the questions that we solved in today's session was clear to all of you. So let us just recollect what we learned. When it comes to data interpretation, most important thing is calculation. It's all about numbers, right? Playing with numbers, you should be very good with your calculations. Now, concept-wise, what are the concepts that you need to know? You need to know the concept of averages, ratios, and percentages, because these are the three concepts that commonly appear in questions on data interpretation. And then we discussed what is a pie chart, what is a bar graph, or what is a line graph, how information is represented in that, and we have solved a few questions on that. So that part should be clear to all of you. So as I always say, like, do your calculations very well. Calculations is very, very important, okay? So you are good at your calculations, you can crack this topic, data interpretation. So in the next session, we will take up the remaining topics and we will finish that as well. All the very best with your preparation, guys, and I will see you in the next session. And this is Gayatri signing off till then. Take care and good night.